Now, Dr. Park, just this week, we had a conversation with Dr. Sri Bokwaku. He is Director of Electoral Services. He did indicate that in the absence of having the ID card, the national ID card, and then the passport, anybody within an electoral community, whether it's a constituency, the registration area, who has registered, made a first entry, and then another person, so two, can guarantee. That should suffice.
That is very problematic, Roland.
Why?
I'm not going to waste time rebutting what he said, because I expected him to say that. He and his party, obviously, extremely comfortable with the trajectory that the Electoral Commission is leading this country.
You just cannot dispute everything.
We are of the opposing view. But the point I seek to make, even before I take a bite of the new question that you just posed, is that my point about the Electoral Commission having the responsibility to put in place plans, programs, activities to ensure that as many Ghanaians, indeed every Ghanaian who has the right to vote, is on the electoral roll, cannot be contested, because it is the fundamental right of every citizen who meets the requirements as set out in the Constitution to be on the voter roll and to help influence how and who they entrust their destiny onto. So that regardless, point is, we must make it easier for more people to register, not difficult for people to register. Now, it is not true that our positions have changed. The issue is multifaceted. And so we also tackle them, and likely so also because of the changing positions of the Electoral Commission itself. And we all know that a committee of eminent personalities was set up by the Electoral Commission, supposedly to advise. And as part of this discourse, which didn't start today, by the way, as we all know, that body had invited the EC and other stakeholders to appear before them. And we know that the presentation that the EC did at the time indicated that the current voters' ID card was going to be acceptable. This was even after they had said earlier that it was not going to be acceptable. And today now they have reverted back in the CI, clearly indicating that the earlier commitment they made, or the pronouncement they made to that eminent committee, was fraudulent.
But it's not true. At the end of the day, the Electoral Commission is working with law.
Yes, with law.
A law for which you belong to a body
with law. But the Electoral Commission has a lot of discretion. It decides. That is where the independence comes in. So the Electoral Commission, much more like Pius tried to demonstrate and to suggest that the Commission had engaged in an act of fraud. Well, by and large, that's what he's suggesting, of sneaking in certain requirements that were not in the document, and or failing to execute, or if you like, implement a court decision which suggests that is fraudulent. It itself tells you that the Electoral Commission can exercise discretion. So why is the Electoral Commission having a difficulty exercising a discretion that would inure to the collective interest of Ghanaians?
Dr. Park, what is the hindrance to any ordinary Ghanaian not having a passport or the national ID card?
Yeah, you are refocusing me to the question, which I appreciate. He mentioned, and the Electoral Commission has said so, that there will be the opportunity for persons.
I'm asking this because you create a scenario of people not getting access to a primary document.
That's correct.
Okay. And I'm saying currently, with the way the state of things are, what will be the hindrance to an ordinary Ghanaian who doesn't have any of those two documents to register?
Well, the hindrance is that the third option, if we were to look at it within the context of the content of the CI, the hindrance will be that the third option, which has to do with somebody vouching for you, is a challenge to people, because you said earlier on, rightly so, that one must have been registered to be on the roll before that person can vouch. There are some places, there are some branches where nobody there has a passport or a Ghana card. So how do people from that such a background get somebody to vouch for them? And even when you say the person, one of the two persons must be registered, is it that one person gets on the register immediately, or we are to wait for the final register to be completed, for verification to be done, for duplication and all of that? Because it is entirely likely that even the person that is said to be the person who should vouch for somebody, later on could be found to have gotten on the register illegitimately. So then what do you do?
That's speculation.
Well, it is bound to happen. We have seen it in this country before. People have been arrested for
in the regulation.
double registration. You know that, double registration.
In the regulation, Dr. Pat, there's no inhibition and there's no restriction for any of the guarantors to come from a specific area before guaranteeing for anybody to be...
So you are suggesting that I'm from the rural constituency, and I can tell you that many of my branches...
Well, if you're registered, and you find...
They don't have passports, obviously.
In your constituency...
They don't have... A lot of people...
The Electoral Commission says...
You are saying that the person to vouch doesn't have to come from that place. So you are suggesting that I should get people from Accra and then take them to Butsasau to go and vouch.
That's what the Electoral Commission argues.
But I mean, that in itself is a hindrance. That in itself is a hindrance.
How is that?
Well, there is a cost of transportation. That person definitely will have to be fed, will have to be housed, and they are then going to go and vouch. They are going to leave their own plans and activities. And don't forget that we are also in a time where we all have been talking about the issue of social distancing, and as much as possible, we need to avoid the movement of people and congregating in large numbers. So all of these are hindrances. They're all hindrances.
Where are you going to register?
Well, naturally, if my party decides on what needs to be done, I will obviously have to go to my constituency to register.
And if you have one more person from your community, it means that you can guarantee for even up to...
But what if I don't have one more person in my community?
That's a
and also think about the time frame, the window of 6 days for this exercise at a time where we have to respect the social distancing. I mean, it is not an easy process, to put it blatantly. And that is why we find it rather curious that the Electoral Commission is not seeking to make it easier for more people to register, especially at this time. But we are not in normal times.
The Electoral Commission undertook a pilot exercise. A pilot exercise for 2 days for a program that is going to take place for 6 days, in which we're deploying new equipment and new technology, and then also to capture about 16.5 to 70 million people. Dr. Emmanuel Akwete of IDEC argues the time for piloting is just not enough.
Well, Roland, before I get to that, just briefly, my colleague here didn't respond to me because he thought that it was going to be a waste of time. No, he couldn't just contradict.
You are guessing.
No, they are laws.
But it is right. He has a right. Yeah, so let's move on to
no, it's important that we understand that these are laws, and the training manual is a public document, and so on. So he cannot just contradict these obvious truths, and so he decides to circumvent. So no problem. Number two, let's also not create the impression that when we talk about making the process of registration easy, which I subscribe to, we are merely saying that the register should be lackadaisically compiled so that anybody comes and says, I am a Ghanaian, you write his name. The right to vote and choose our leaders is fundamental and reserved strictly for Ghanaians. It is a responsibility, it's a right that we must guard zealously. So to argue that we want to make it easy does not mean that if that were the case, then we didn't even need to compile a register. We should just wait until it is.
But nobody is saying that.
That's the point that they are making.
Pius,
there has to be an effort to make our register credible.
It's easy, and not so meaning that creating the atmosphere, the opportunities, and the
and that's why I just explained to you
for the sections of the voter population who are vulnerable, and vulnerable in the sense that they may not have access to the needed documents.
They are catered for. They are catered for under the vouching processes. And that's why I said to you that 1 million persons registered recently. Out of the 1 million, over 95% of the 1 million went through the vouching processes.
Dr. Akwete argues that
so I'll come to Dr.
Yes, please respond.
I'll come to Dr. Akwete.
Dr. Akwete argues that 2 days for a piloting exercise is not enough. We've moved on from.
Well, I think that from what I have heard and seen, the piloting has been largely successful. I understand that there was a glitch in 1 out of the 16 regions. That's the whole idea about the piloting. The piloting is not supposed to mean that there will not be glitches. The piloting is actually to encounter glitches and to take remedial action. So the argument being made that, well, the piloting, there was a glitch in just 1 out of the 16 regions means that the Electoral Commission's decision is faulty, cannot be justified. The whole concept of piloting is to identify some of these glitches and to rectify and take remedial action. I find that the 2 days has been successful. Yes, the arguments, I'm open. If Dr. Akwete feels that we should do it a few more times, no problem. For how long? 1 month? 2 weeks? How much time is Dr. Akwete going to suggest is okay? It's subjective in his view, and it's like an opinion. There are so many opinions because everybody has a face, and everybody has a nose, everybody has an opinion. So it is fine for anybody to offer an opinion. At the end of the day, we have to allow institutions of state to do their work. I want to commend the Electoral Commission that even within the limitations, and the argument, again, they will keep shifting the post. It's COVID-19. It's COVID-19, but we will still vote. The President of the Republic has said that he doesn't want to use COVID-19 as an excuse, okay, to perpetuate himself in power. He's a Democrat by choice, not by force. So he knows that the people of Ghana will have to go to the polls to confirm him again as president. So we will vote. My brother Clement Apak will have to register if he wants to go back to Parliament. If he does not register, he cannot go back to Parliament. So he will register. And that is why the NDC yesterday nicodemously participated in the pilot project.
Is it not true that they were written to? Because we again spoke to the Electoral Commission.
Yeah, every party was written to.
Great.
The NDC have turned down invitations from the NDC.
So your point in saying that the NDC participated nicodemously is to
suggest that they are being hypocritical, they are exhibiting double standards, they are talking from the both sides of their mouth.
I don't understand. What do you mean by that?
Well, they must answer the question whether they will participate in the registration or not. They are participating. So why wouldn't they confirm that yes? Because being part of the pilot is participating in the registration.
Are you saying that if somebody is contesting or participating in a football match, but they feel that the atmosphere or even the weather for that match to take place is not conducive,
but if you find out,
they shouldn't raise concerns.
No, but if you find that and you have basis that you find that this football match is predetermined and the weather is not good to play the football match, you withdraw. Why? You withdraw. So for me, that's what I would do.
If you withdraw, you lose 3 points.
But you have withdrawn. So that's why they cannot withdraw. And that's why they must just stop frustrating the Electoral Commission, focus on managing the political party, get a running mate, get a message, get a manifesto, speak to the people of Ghana about alternatives if they have any.
The NDC, do you?
Oh, we can make it. They are dictating to everybody. So I'm just advising. I'm not dictating. They are the ones dictating to everybody. I'm just advising.
What did you make of the pilot exercise of 2 days that was undertaken by the EC?
Well, I mean, the EC had made it clear that it was going to undertake this exercise. And as you rightly pointed out earlier, stakeholders, political parties were written to. And yes, we sent some of our officers to participate, rightly so, for good reason. Because we also wanted to be able to demonstrate further to Ghanaians the dangers that we see lying ahead And as far as the Electoral Commission's insistence to go on with the compilation of what we consider to be a needless new register is concerned. And the Electoral Commission can, you know, pretend to be buoyant and to have overcome glitches and to suggest that the exercise was successful. But the information available doesn't point to that. I mean, by virtue of being part of it to observe, because in research, and you've all done some research before, you know, there's what we call participant observation. In order to be able to understand a particular culture, phenomena, activity, one of the best methods is to actually participate, to allow you to be able to critique it and to note and expose the shortcomings. And so if we participated, that has allowed us. And we know, for example, that some of the machines got frozen for several hours. We have received information that in some places, by and large, it was new, old DVRs that were used. In places where there were attempts to use the facial recognition technology, for example, we have information that, you know, an elderly man, for example, could not be captured. And we also know that when you are undertaking these type of exercises, and that is perhaps where Dr. Akwete's point comes in, equipment is prone to challenges by climatic conditions. It matters to do with humidity, levels of humidity, the heat, and other environmental factors can have an impact on the functionality of equipment. So if after 2 days, with what we have seen and heard, the likes of Dr. Akwete are raising concerns that what the Electoral Commission has done is not sufficient, this is a matter that must be taken into account. But our participation in the exercise was to allow us to further expatiate on the challenges that we have predicted would occur, and almost at every stage we are seeing the challenges.
Yes, you were invited, all right, because you're key stakeholders.
We were.
But the participation was just to, again, concentrate on the point that, look, we feel that the whole system is flawed.
That is it, and it is needless. It is not justified. It will not work. It portends, I mean, it has the capacity to serve as a source of chaos and confusion. And we will never stop saying these things. If they want, they can arrest all of us. These are the truths that we know, and we are going to say them. But look, Roland, in all of this, talking down the whole register, making all kinds of excuses, and suggesting that the equipment is obsolete, it is not useful, we seem to forget that this is the same register and the same equipment that we used only last year. And other independent experts and entities have demonstrated that, contrary to what the Electoral Commission, ably supported by the ruling MPP, is trying to push down the throat of Ghanaians, would they rather shifting cultivation post, that the equipment is wholesome, it is usable. We would save a lot more money upgrading the current equipment.
You mean the NDC and Ita Science yesterday noticed that some of the equipment were not the new ones?
Oh, yes.
Which areas?
Correct.
Oh, yes.
Which areas did you notice that? In which of the regions?
At least we know that in parts of the Volta region, that was the case. And indeed, that was where they went and captured, you know, the picture of one of my colleagues, and they are using it for propaganda purposes. As I speak about the Honorable George Lowe, for example. and it's despicable. Just to try and create the impression, the ruse that we have done a U-turn. We have not done a U-turn. Our position is consistent.
Ronald,
and as I said earlier,
please refocus Honorable Apap to the question.
We are going to deploy every single legitimate means in support of the position that we have canvassed.
Before I come to you, if no matter the outcome of the court process and the decision, will the NDC participate in the election?
You've asked me this question before.
I have not.
I don't get
right now. I have not.
I am a member of a party. my party will make a decision. And whatever decision my party makes, that is my decision. So I don't get to make an individual personal decision as somebody who is in parliament and as somebody who intends to go back to parliament on the ticket of a political party. I can't do that. So we would see. We'll see what the outcome of the
So you don't know whether
we are
your party will allow all of you to go and register despite the problems?
I don't know that.
Okay.
The party is going to make a decision, and whatever decision the party makes it is what I would obey and respect.
Is it something that perhaps smirks of maybe the Electoral Commission not taking into consideration a key concern being raised by a key stakeholder, the biggest opposition party, a party that has been elected to form a government in office in the Fourth Republic? And so as a result of that, the Electoral Commission is ignoring the concerns they are raising?
No. By the actions and the commentary of the largest opposition party, they have discredited, their position is greatly discredited, and so no serious institution of state, such as the Electoral Commission, will take some of the advices.
How so?
Where the NDC has offered constructive advice in this country, in our history, their position have been accepted. But not merely because you are the largest opposition. Even when you make a frivolous suggestion, it should be taken. In this case, their suggestions are frivolous. They are discredited. And so they cannot be accepted. Those decisions cannot be accepted just because they are a major and a key stakeholder and they once governed this country. And so because of that, they feel that what they say must be law. No. The opinion and suggestions of the NDC collapses and falls flat before the laws of this country. But you see, Roland, you asked a fundamental question, which my senior brother again wants to avoid. You asked him the question of, he makes the fundamental allegation that some of the equipments that were used yesterday and for the pilot were old BVRs. And then you asked him where. That's a critical allegation to make, serious allegation to make. He is unable to name where that happened. But however, he throws it out there.
I said we have information.
But if you have information,
and I've told you,
if you have information,
this thing finished yesterday. We will be making all of those public information.
If you have that information, you will have it with respect to the venue. I mean, this is a registration limited. How many locations? It's not many, but he throws it out. Give the dog a bad name and hang it. You understand? So I'm saying that
who is giving the dog a bad
name? The NDC
and
the Electoral Commission.
So the Electoral Commission said dog.
So this is it's a saying.
Yeah. We'll hang it. I'm from the other east. Actually, dog meat.
So that's
speech,
yes. So that's the point. Now all the things that my brother Honorable Apak speaks to, and I said to you that Dr. Akwete, yes, he has brought up his view. That's his view. But he hasn't also suggested how long this should take. But I know that the registration was largely successful. Registering people sometimes in the 70s, 75, 85. So per day, it's fine. How many people are we expecting to register, Roland? And you can do the mathematics. The Electoral Commission says that they're expecting to register some 60 million people, right?
16.5 to 17.
Correct.
Yes. They are deploying a little over 6,000 of these machines.
So Roland, do the mathematics. 16 million. It's important that we do this thing. So, how many machines have been deployed?
6,100. Average 6,100.
So let's say 6 divided by 6,100. How many days are they doing the registration?
For 6 days.
40.
6.
No.
So there is 6 in all 38.
Yes. So 38 days. So you divide by 38 days. The Electoral Commission should be registering about some 69 persons a day. Okay. I mean, we can take time and do the calculation and see. And guess and manage if this is doable. 65, I think even less than that. Say 40, 50 people a day.
But there are related issues about how we need to make sure we maintain social distancing and the protocols.
Yes, but that's the new normal, and that's why even in Parliament...
Simultaneously.
Yes.
There are people who will not have access to certain documents for which they will need the guarantors.
Roland, this is something that is historical.
You're saying it's normal. You're saying it's
even
normal.
Today, we have we are able to get documents in millions. In the national ID card, they have 12 million already. Getting to 12 million already. They are going to even do more before the registration starts.
How many months or a year did it take?
But I'm saying to you that in 2012, when we did the registration, not one person had the national card. We were supposed to use the national card. Not one person had it. You understand? We are making progress. We are getting there gradually. But the point I'm making is that when we talk about easing our registration processes, it doesn't mean that we should do like a desiccal work and that these documents, we should not ensure that only Ghanaians. This is the right to choose our leaders. We cannot cede it off to people from another jurisdiction. The people of Ghana, it is for just the people of Ghana. So Honorable Clement Apak here must be worried that we must put in systems that shall ensure that only the people of Busa South, for instance, will elect him as member of Parliament. How would he feel if I, who do not stay in his constituency, I do not come from there, if I and people like me are involved in deciding for the people of Busa South?
When you come there, you'll be chased out.
So you are also protecting. You are protecting the sanctity of the exercise to select the representative for the people of the Busa South. Why don't you want to protect the sanctity of the exercise of the people electing representatives and the president of Ghana?
Dr. Pak, where we are currently,
yes,
we should get an outcome of a court case, which
yes,
fundamentally would pave the way for us to, as stakeholders, take key decisions. If the outcome is either way, what will be the implications for you as a key stakeholder, political party, member of parliament?
Well, that is a question that is futuristic. And as I indicated earlier, I trust my party,
just 30 seconds, so that I give 30 seconds, then we can
leadership. So whatever decision is made, certainly would abide by it. But let's see what happens, because this is an evolving situation. And we all hope for the best. But
so let's say that there's a decision made inclusion of a voter ID. What would that mean? That's who.
Well, if a decision is made to include a voter ID, at least it eases one of the major concerns that we have raised.
And if it's not made?
That's very fundamental.
And if it's not made?
It makes it very difficult for us to believe that indeed there is genuine intentions to ensure that Ghanaians, and I want to emphasize, because he is sought to create the impression that the current voters register is bloated, is unwholesome, forgetting that it was used before.
Okay.
So if that doesn't happen, it confirms our suspicion.
Okay. Just give me in 40 seconds your wrap-up comments on.
Well, I would be disappointed. I would be disappointed if, for instance, there's a decision to allow the use of the current voters registration
and
card.
If it's allowed?
In the face of the evidence, I'll be disappointed. But of course, I will do what the legally mandated institutions have decided, okay? I may be disappointed, but I will not go and be beating and killing people at the registration center, unlike
who is beating and killing people?
Bernard Mona says they will do that.
You are misquoting Bernard Mona. You know, you are not being fair.
Let's just quickly, I just have 40 minutes. You see, the point about the machines are doing well. We used it to perform a referendum. The last time, district level elections, failure rate is 5%. But that's very disingenuous, Bernard.
But that's true.
We should look at the failure rate during the general election when there is more pressure. That is about some 12.6%. That's the failure rate during 2016 for the general elections. But for the local level elections, where there is not too much attention, there's not too much pressure, even that one, the failure rate is 5%. Now, we are being told that the NDC's mood. We are here. The fundamental right of choosing leaders. Ms. Honorable Clement Apak is saying to us that it's not a decision that the people of Ghana or members of the NDC are taking on their own upon sober reflection, and that a few people in Accra, in the name of leadership, take a decision. So Mr. John Mahama, John Sasedu Nketi and Co., they sit in Accra, take a decision whether people should register or not, and they are imposing it, enforcing
to boycott.
Let me say, happy birthday
to my wife. My wife's birthday is important. Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay.
So in advance, yes.
Oh, just send me a message.
And the kids as well, they are watching. They say you look great.
And then I should also use
happy birthday to your wife in advance.
I should also use this opportunity to congratulate His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for now more or less officially becoming the candidate that the people of Ghana are going to.
Oh, that's so. Have you gone to the polls already?
No, we don't have to. The National Council has spoken, and the law says that once he's a sole candidate by the close of election.
Happy birthday to Elizabeth Bentel of Gimpa and Kaswa Iron City, and this from Derek Ekosa, my lead producer, and your own uncle Bentel, all of the multimedia group. And also, Patience Lodo wants to wish her boss and head of pharmacy department, Dr. John Kofi Kobuvi of Ho Teaching Hospital, a happy birthday. She wants him to know that he's the best boss ever. Best boss ever. Now, happy birthday also to Yvonne of Vonnie's Cuisine Catering Services. You're based in Kwabenya. You are a year older today. God bless you as well. And this is from the KNUST IDL 2019 year group, Accra. Happy birthday also to you. Na Momo Denso Lai, our loving mother and grandmother. And the whole family pray that this year will be a good year for you as well. And that's where we have to take a break. When we come back, we're having a fundamental conversation about the Association of Health Service Providers who are raising issues with the National Health Insurance Authority that claims they thought will be redeemed so far have just not been paid to them. We'll look at that next.